What's going on, everyone? John Matrix here. So, after checking out the Astartes project and watching through all that, it's definitely piqued more of my interest in, Warhammer 40k and wanting to learn more about the lore and the factions and all that kind of stuff. I'm doing a little bit of searching, and we got a video here from Bricky, every single Warhammer Space Marine Legion in a nutshell. So I think this will probably be a good place to start. Learning more about the Space Marine Legions. I know the one in Astartes was more of a homebrew kind of faction that he made, and that's a story that he's made for that faction. So I'm curious to learn a little bit more, about the, I guess, official Space Marine Legions, what they're about, what they do. Then I know there's different chapters and Primarchs, and I guess the Primarchs are kind of maybe the leaders of the chapters. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff to it. So I'm eager to learn more. If you guys have any, videos out there that you want me to look at that go over any, Warhammer lore, feel free to, let me know down in the comments, and I'll be happy to take a look at them and, maybe do some reaction videos to it. But for now, let's take a look at this here. So this is Bricky. I'll have this video down, below in the description, so you can watch it through if you just want to watch his video by itself. Yeah, go over there and check out all his content. Yeah, so here we go.
Hello everybody, my name is Bricky, currently stuck in the walls of the most prodigious school in the Imperium by punishment for falling asleep during class. God bless the Schola Progenium. Many of you have come across my Every Faction Explained video. Firstly, thank you. Secondly, we are here to dig a little deeper.
Already did an Every Faction Explained.
Quintessential poster boys of Warhammer 40,000. When people think 40k, they think Space Marines, but there are many types of Space Marines, formed from 20 separate legions. We are going to rattle them off in order and give you a quick rundown of each one. A disclaimer, like in my Every Faction Explained video, this is a mix of accuracy and memes. If I say the Salamanders Legion specializes in hugging children and petting puppies, they aren't exactly doing that, mostly. I would like to pet this creature. But you can infer that they care about civilians and are a bit kinder than the average Space Marine. A Space Marine being a genetically modified super soldier that's had 1 million new and terrifying organs shoved into them, refrigerators strapped to their bodies, and are so far above the average human that they are referred to as demigods instead. Each Space Marine has a father, unlike you, a Primarch, which is basically an even bigger Space Marine that was forged in a lab by the God Emperor of mankind, that gigantic golden dude.
Yeah, the Primarchs are like the direct descendants, from what I understand, of the Emperor. Like, those are his actual children. I don't know if he genetically modified them specifically as well, or if they are just like his actual children. He had sex with a woman and bam, children. I don't know.
See everywhere, who is both the leader and now the martyr of humanity. The Primarchs are his 20 sons, built in a lab, who lead 20 legions of Space Marines, who are their sons, not from a lab, but rather a dissection table, giving them the powers and skills of their associated Primarch via a gene seed, a special organ carrying the genetic makeup of their Primarch and, their seed. So if Jagatai Khan of the White Scars has the genetic makeup that wants him to go really, really fast, then his sons, the Space Marines, also want to go really.
So does that mean, like, let's say in battle, if one of the Space Marines' gene seed organ gets damaged or ruptured, is that like a fatal thing for them? Would that like mess up their abilities, their powers, stuff like that?
Really fast. I should note that I am only referring to the legions this time around. If you're interested in sub-factions like, let's say, the Black Templars, then it's not going to be here. However, I do have a excellent Black Templar video. I'd argue it's probably the most accurate one I can think of. It goes through the whole lore, everything about them. It's a very long video, and
sounds like this guy has gone through all kinds of 40k stuff, so we might be diving deep into this guy's channel here and getting a lot of lore stuff.
Just look up Black Templar video in the description. You'll get what you need. And now, with the easy explanation out of the way, let us begin with our first legion.
Dark Angels. Okay.
Dark Angels. Allegiance? Loyal.
Okay, what does that mean?
Primarch Lionel Johnson, a duelist, a knight,
Lionel Johnson, that is a manly name right there, Lionel Johnson.
A real asshole, I'm not gonna lie. The single word descriptor, paranoid. The Dark Angels are our first legion, hailing from the death world known as Caliban. Their Primarch, Lionel Johnson, is what happens when you try to make the side profile Chad meme into a genuine character. He is a master tier duelist, a brilliant strategist, and an overall dick. There are few situations he isn't prepared for, and few fights
They're like the Batman of the Primarchs.
This makes the Dark Angels have a very Knights of the Round Table vibe. They look like the Knights of old with these large suits of power armor, often donning robes and hoods. Their names also follow this. They have like Ezekiel, Azrael, Belial, Samuel, and so
kind of angelic
However,
names.
The common thing associated with Dark Angels are the Fallen, a part of their faction that turned traitor against the Imperium, and they are very heavily trying to expunge all knowledge of them from existence. Fallen? What Fallen? Never heard of any Fallen. Do you know about the Fallen?
So are the Fallen, are they like part of the Chaos Marine faction now, or are they like their own separate thing?
I'm gonna take you away and mind probe you to make sure you have never heard of the Fallen. They definitely don't exist, and if they do exist, which they don't, we will find them even though they don't exist. They love their interrogations. They thrive in it. Lionel Johnson is a scorched earth policy sometimes, and it's given to his sons in force, which makes sense considering that when the Lion heard of a Chaos Primarch on a homeworld different Primarch, whose mom was there, he was like, let's nuke it. The Dark Angels are a special group where they formulate themselves into 3 different factions. The Deathwing Terminators, slow-moving, tough phalanx. The Ravenwing, fast jet bikes and flyers.
I think the Deathwing Terminator armor, wasn't that something in Warhammer 40k too? I want to say that's something that one of your characters get in that, if I remember correctly. It's been forever since I played Dawn of War 2.
And the Green Wing, which is your standard Marines. They are a jack of all trades, but not in the sense where they're good at everything, but rather they have a lot of things that are good at specific things. Like instead of 20 people that have a multi-tool, they instead have 20 people with gigantic power tools for every job imaginable. If you like being suspicious about everyone and everything in your surroundings, but you also like to have a whole lot of deep knight type lore, run the Dark Angels.
Those minis look sick.
The One Piece is real.
Our second legion is a special one.
Oh Lord.
If you can see, the numbers all go to 11.
The Emperor's Children. Allegiance, traitor. Primarch, Fulgrim, a perfectionist, an artist, a snake. And the single word descriptor,
Marines or something.
The Emperor's Children are all about the pursuit of perfection. Perfection in all they do. Perfection in war, in artistry, and perfection in every other aspect of life. Their armor is a gleaming pink, purple, and gold. Their ships have spires of gorgeous marble and gold statues in their honor.
Definitely very, the word I'm looking for. Eccentric, maybe? That's not the proper word I'm looking for, but I guess that'll do.
Fulgrim is a man who believes the pursuit of perfection is the goal of all things, and I mean, look at him! Can you truly tell me that he is not perfect? The hair, the features. As
kind of like Arthas,
he is the one you look
in
at,
Warcraft.
And 40k had a guy that would give you the best sex you've ever had and never call you back. This is the fucking guy, which is why this pursuit of decadence led them to the evils of chaos. Yes, Emperor's Children are our first Chaos Legion, and not just a normal one.
I would assume.
One devoted to, you guessed it, Slaanesh, the Prince of Pleasure, God of unspeakable excess. The Emperor's Children in their pursuit are now horrifyingly mutated beings through Slaanesh's great will. They torture and maim to feel perfection through pain. They screech and attack with sonic weaponry for perfection through sound, and they slaughter, aiming for perfection in war. Fulgrim himself lost the battle against Slaanesh as a demon sword corrupted his mind and transformed him into the sexy man he was, into the sexy snake he is now. A demon Primarch, corrupted and bringing his
demon Primarch.
Will
that would be
himself. As far as
quite the powerful being,
go,
I would guess.
Bad people. They do horrible horrible things to anyone and everything. In fact, they're such trolls that their battle cry is "for the Emperor," despite being horribly mutated and corrupted. If you've ever taken a little too much of a drug, or maybe the music at the concert was too loud and you didn't bring any earplugs, or whatever the reason, you just take all those things and you dial it and you dial it and you twist it and the knob breaks. And that is the Emperor's Children.
That's interesting that their slogan is still "for the Emperor," and he says it as like a troll, so I would assume that obviously means that they're saying it as a mockery to others. But I wonder if there's still like some kind of that programming built into them or whatever, where they still might be like, if the Emperor were to come back and he were alive and they were to face him, would they, would they switch allegiance back to the Emperor? You know what I mean? Is that something where like they would like remove them from their demon taint? I don't know.
God is dead.
Iron Warriors, okay. These like the Night Knights or something.
The Iron Warriors. Allegiance, traitor. Primarch, Perturabo, a warlord, a siege smith, an incel.
There's a lot of There's a lot of traitor factions here. I thought, like, I know Horus was like the first, to my knowledge, Horus was the first Primarch that like turned. He's the one that, fought the Emperor and was injured the Emperor, and put the Emperor in his current state. So I thought, like, I don't know. I didn't really know like how a lot of these things, but it's interesting that a lot of these Primarchs and their legions turned, I guess as well. It's just, I thought it was more of like the Chaos Space Marines started from like Horus and they kind of grew, and then maybe they had their own splinter factions that happened afterwards. I didn't know so many Primarchs, had been turned as well.
Single word descriptor: siege. Continuing the trend of our Chaos Legions, we have,
like, I from what I understand, a lot of the Primarchs have like been lost or disappeared or something like that, or aren't around. So people don't really know where they're at. I mean, I could be wrong, but this is just stuff that from, some casual reading or browsing things on the internet. So it's interesting to me to find out that so many Primarchs have been like turned and are evil.
The Iron Warriors, led by Primarch Perturabo of Olympia. To understand the Iron Warriors,
Olympia,
one must first understand Perturabo, a man so bitter.
Dude kind of reminds me of what's his name from Overwatch? The big dude with the shield. I'm having a brain fart right now. Reinhardt. Where it is.
Coffee beans run for light. A man who hates the world and everyone in it, who never got recognition for his deeds, who hates his brothers and hates their accomplishments even
Definitely
more.
someone to turn to the dark side then.
So incredibly bitter that he goes full circle to becoming likable. Why? Because he's competent. The Horus Heresy. We didn't talk about the Horus Heresy. Intermission. So Horus was the Emperor's favorite son, right? The Emperor walked into his room. Horus said, Dad, I just gifted 150 subs to Amaranth, and she said my name a ton, and she loved me for it. I really think that I might get to meet her one day. And it kind of played out something like this.
Your feelings for her are not real. They are real to me!
And then it started playing out a little bit more like this.
Let the seas boil. Let the stars fall. Though it takes the last drop of my blood.
Yeah. So Iron Warriors, the Horus Heresy would have gotten shit done without Peter Turbo. Imagine an entire faction that is the personification of brutal industrialism, where you serve the Legion until your dying breath. You build and you kill and you siege and you kill and you literally summon demons just to take them and trap them in machines and use them as cannon fodder. This is the thing they do. They summon demons to trap and use as shock troops. The Iron Warriors are siege warfare incarnate. They are heavy weapons, they are tanks, they are turrets, and they don't die. They hate Imperials. They hate Imperial Fists.
Do you need a pacifier, Iron Baby? No! No, I don't!
They are bitter incarnate. Perturabo and the Iron Warriors don't serve the Chaos Gods because they like them. They serve them because fuck you.
Come on, guys. Let's
Good
go.
reason.
Not another speeding ticket. I'll fight
White
it in
scars,
court, but I
okay.
don't think they're gonna accept gotta go fast as a medical condition.
The White Scars. Allegiance, Loyalist. Primarch, Jagatai Khan. A speed demon, a plain strider, a roast god. Single word descriptor, speed. Hailing from Chagoris. The White Scars are all about speed. They love melee, but they love
So they're like
even
a
more
cavalry-based
when they're doing
faction,
it
I
from
would
a
assume.
Motorcycle or land speeder. Or honestly, just running really
So they all sit there and they do the Akira slide, you know, whenever they're in fights and they gotta, yeah.
damn fast. The White Scars are honestly forgotten about a lot, and that's lore accurate. They are a legion that doesn't seek the recognition or glory from the combat they engage in. They engage in it because it is their duty and because they love it. Not in the insane slaughter enjoyment of loving it, but in the thrill of the fight. They are known as the Laughing Killers because they ride into battle with a smile on their face and a chuckle in their throat. And as you can tell by their Primarch's name, they are Mongolian based. Remove horses.
Yeah, I was gonna
replace
say
them with
that's-
motorcycles and
That's what it kind of gets like a Genghis Khan kind of feel to it.
and spears, and that's your style. They are heavily based on the old times of Genghis Khan, and you can
Yeah.
say this is 40k and everybody's evil. You know, that fits. The White Scars are actually physical scars on their body, going back to their heritage on Chagoris. The Khan himself is kind of a dickhead, but a reasonable one. He thinks ahead. He's
I mean, it sounds like most of the Primarchs are assholes, but I mean, I feel like everyone in Warhammer is probably an asshole. Like, the universe is so extreme and so grim. I feel like that's just normal. Asshole is like base level.
intelligent, he's patient. He is often underestimated because he doesn't scream his accomplishments from the rooftops, which is what makes him and the White Scars dangerous. His skills are kept at bay, only to be truly shown when the time is needed. The White Scars are a forgotten legion often, but that doesn't diminish their accomplishments. All it does is surprise those who underestimate them. Speed, awesome Mongolian vibe they got going on. And if you really like to stab people, that's the White Scars for you. Shameless thirst break.
This is Dog. Woof.
The Space Wolves, I've heard of this legion.
Woof, bitch.
The Space Wolves. Allegiance, Loyalist. Primarch, Leman Russ. A Viking, a savage, the
Yeah.
Undertaker. Single word descriptor.
They're very Viking-esque
Wolf,
from
wolf,
what
wolf, 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 wolf. This is
I've
one
heard.
of the Goddamn wolf units. Skater, how many units in the Space Wolves Codex have the word wolf in their name? The Space Wolves are the 6th Legion and hail from Fenris, a frozen wasteland of a world with their Primarch,
Even their name is reference to Fenrir.
Leman Russ. I don't really need to spend a whole lot of time talking about the Space Wolves because it's very obvious who they are. They are the second most obvious what their shtick is legion in the 20 legions. Besides,
Seems like it, they're ride
When
wolves.
you look at the Space Wolves behind, what do you see? Do you see Vikings in space? You've done it. Congratulations, you have found Vikings in space. But they have as much in common with a regular Marine as an all-day Viking with like a Roman soldier. You see, as a Space Marine, your body is so enhanced that you filter out poison, and so you can't get drunk. The Space Wolves distill a special mead out of a horrible poisonous plant that would kill a normal human so they could get drunk. They have fangs
Interesting.
in their mouths. They sometimes cannibalize their enemies. Sometimes they eat people because they gain knowledge.
I mean, that's what Vikings would do. They'd sharpen their, some Vikings, berserkers or whatever, that would get, messed up on, shrooms and other psychedelics before they go into battle. They would sharpen their teeth too.
About them from there and about battle plans. The Space Wolves are savages. They're raiders. They're Vikings. But despite all of this, they are loyal to their core. Leman Russ is an egotistical guy who just shouts stories and tales of his accomplishments everywhere they can. But at the same time, he was so damn loyal that instead of gunning down his foes, he hit him with a fucking backbreaker to show his devotion to wrestling. If you want Vikings in space, you found it. Play the Vikings in space.
So far, if I were to pick a legion, that would probably be a legion that would be interested in being mine that I would play with, you know, on the tabletop.
We're gonna build the wall. We have no choice. We have no choice. Build that wall. Build that wall. Build that wall.
I'd assume this is like the industrial people.
Fists. Allegiance, loyalist. Primarch, Rogel Dorn, a builder, a
Rogel Dorn. That sounds like someone out of Game of Thrones, just straight out of Game of Thrones.
And he needs a hand. Single word descriptor. Fortify. The Imperial Fists are led by Primarch Rogel Dorn, their homeworld of Inuit. However, they themselves are actually a fleet-based chapter, with their main source of recruitment coming from an enormous moon-sized ship called the Phalanx. The Fists...
Is that like... I know the Chaos Marines have like... I forget what it's called, but they have like these giant floating... you know, space fortresses or whatever. Is that like a Space Marine equivalent, you know?
Are a chapter you think of when you think of duty. They love to serve. The love to serve and the inability to be moved. Rogel Dorn is an architect, a master builder, and basically a rock in brain and body. A lack of humor or ability to lie shows that he is as blunt as the weapons of war he creates. Not the swords he makes, but like blunt, strong weapons. The Fists are the same. Take your archetypical American Marine style look, a buzz cut, a hard sense of duty, and then throw in some power armor and a love for building defenses, and you have the Imperial Fists. They are immovable. When you find a spot, they're ready to defend. You can't breach them. Their knowledge of defensive warfare
the Turtle faction.
Is paramount. Without them, the Horus Heresy would have been so much more effective, but thanks to their insane and immovable tenacity, the Imperium lives today. And let's not forget that Iron Warrior and Imperial Fist rivalry. Want to know why the Iron Warriors are so bitter? These guys are the reason why.
Hey, guys, bring the thing! Where is he going?
What is this?
Hey! Hey, that could have killed me! Hey, guys! We missed! Get another!
Dorn and Perturabo are basically two sides of the same coin. One is just a bit more level-headed and got better jobs. If you want to be defensive, to be good at everything Space Marines are good at, bolters,
yeah, this sounds like the Turtle faction.
You want a classic military fighting force?
They're like the anti-siege, you know, I guess faction or whatever. They're the ones that, you know, you would sit behind walls and just play defensively.
Start fisting.
I am having a very bad day. Today is one of the worst days.
Oh boy. Oh boy, here we go. The Night Lords. Allegiance, heretic. Primarch,
these are the vampire
a
guys.
Sadist, a vigilante,
undead guys.
Espresso. Single word, fear. The Night Lords are my favorite legion, hailing from Nostromo and their Primarch, Conrad Kurz. They are a traitor legion from a planet known
very Dracula, vampire, undead-esque
as the Sunless World, or the world.
Dude, that backdrop looks sick.
Of endless night. Nostromo is a horrible hive city that is known for being host to some of the worst gang violence, murder, and working conditions around. The only thing keeping the population in check is the suicide rate. The Night Lords followed in the footsteps of their Primarch, a man who believed in a twisted sense of justice and that the only way to make humans compliant is through fear. The Legion's lesson has been lost on them, as their ranks were repopulated by gang members, murderers, arsonists, torturers, and other words I can't say on YouTube, as young as 12 years old. Murderers before they were even teenagers, raised to become demigods. Now, fear is what
that would be quite the interesting Legion, you know. Bunch of people, bunch of literal cutthroats and murderers and bad people that have been raised that way since childhood.
And flesh is what
kind of like an evil version of like the Spartans, you know, because like the Spartans, you know, they have their agoge, you know, the kids when they returned like somewhere between like 7 and 10 years old, whatever, they were taken from their families, and they basically started training for the rest of their lives. And if they survived it, they became Spartan warriors. So it's almost kind of like an inverse version of that, where, you know, they just grow up in these shitty conditions, and that's what they have to do to survive. And the ones that survive, survival of the fittest kind of a situation, you know, so the ones that survive become part of their Space Marine Legion.
What they reap. The Night Lords are scum. They are the exact opposite of all other legions. They torture and they maim and they flay because they think it's...
Dude looks like Mad Mikkelsen almost, like a chubbier faced version of Mad Mikkelsen.
Fun. They run away often so they can come back and kill you with more numbers. They prey on the innocent and the weak. They kill normal civilians because it's easy and flee any battle where they don't possess overwhelming odds. They are the antithesis of normal Space Marines. They are scum. One time, a world did not comply to their demands, so they raided one of their ships and brought it into atmosphere. The crowds cheered and clapped as it appears that they had won the battle, and the airlocks opened and the skinned and flayed bodies of the crew were thrown down in the populace. In other words, a legion of gangers and criminals. Add together a heavy Slavic influence to them, and you've got my favorite faction.
You have not done the dishes for 5 years. So
I've heard of the Blood Angels too.
embarrassed when people come over here.
What does it matter? You bring them over, you kill them. Vampires don't do dishes.
The Blood Angels. Allegiance, loyal. Primarch, sanguineous. An angel, a vampire, a dead-ass motherfucker. Single.
Okay, so this is actually more of a vampire.
Blood. The Blood Angels are 9th Legion, hailing from the homeworld of Baal, with their Primarch, Sanguinius. The Blood Angels are a tragic tale with one of the best Primarchs, one beloved by almost everybody, a genuine angelic figure who led his people to glory, killed by the hands of the traitor Horus before the Emperor's eyes. The death of their Primarch led the entire Legion to madness as their gene seed malfunctioned and created something known as the Black Rage. The Blood Angels degrade over time, experiencing something called the Red Thirst, which gives them a genuine vampiric thirst for blood. As their minds degrade and break down, they get angrier and angrier, becoming berserk killing machines with no other goal than to tear everything in sight apart. But they don't see it as that. They see themselves there, at their Primarch's demise, with Horus in sight, and to them, it's time for vengeance. That's
gotcha. Okay, that's actually some pretty cool lore right there. You know, people from the outside, you know, I guess could see them as just like mindless, you know, going into a mindless rage, you know, savage rage of just killing everything that's in front of them. But in their minds, they have the vision that they're, you know, avenging their Primarch. They're at the scene where Horus is killing their Primarch, and they're trying to avenge it. That's some pretty cool lore, actually.
That Chaos Space Marine, that's Horus. Kill him. That Orc War Boss over there, Horus. Kill him. That Tyranid Swarm, 1,000 Horuses. Horai. Kill them all. Did your toast come out a little bit burnt? Horus sabotaged your toaster. Destroy the
Fucking Horus, dude. Sabotaging my toaster. It happens to me all the time. Toast gets burnt. I need to fucking go throw that shit out.
Destroy it. Do it. Do it. Kill your toaster. Do it. This slow, debilitating disease takes over the Blood Angels, and it gives them this angelic, vampire, and Catholic-inspired imagery. They have chalices of blood.
Pretty cool
they
faction.
Rest in coffins and can even use psychic powers to sprout angel wings from their bodies. They are a tragedy through.
Kind of like Aasimar and D&D almost, really.
And the only thing that will look more tragic are the mangled bodies of those they come in contact with.
I got a diesel engine, and honey, we forgot.
I think I've heard of the Iron Hands too.
The Iron Hands. Allegiance, loyalist. Primarch, Ferrus Manus, a machinist, an inventor, and not a great head on his shoulders. Single word, bionics.
Oh, okay.
The Iron Hands are from the home planet of Medusa and their Primarch, Ferrus Manus. Does Ferrus Manus have an iron hand? You fucking know he's got an iron hand. The Iron Hands believe that the
This is like the cyberpunk faction. They're all like replaced the cybernetics or something.
Flesh is weakness. But despite all of their enhancements, despite all the things that made them demigods, replacing some of the flesh with bionics will allow them to serve the Emperor more. They go hard into vehicles and dreadnoughts. Dreadnoughts being giant walking sarcophagi that have wounded space marines piloting them from the inside. Vehicles,
interesting.
Metal upgrades.
Yeah, so they're the heavy, you know, vehicle faction. Okay. They're the ones that walk around in the giant dreadnoughts and the tanks and all that kind of stuff. That's pretty sick.
These are the things that make up this legion. Their tech marines have servo arms sticking out from all directions. They have a wide array of mechanics and extremely often replace limbs with metal ones, serving all kinds of different functions to deal with their enemies. The Iron Hands are also not particularly nice. They're kind of assholes. I mean, Marines are already normally pretty big assholes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's kind of like I said earlier, that's like baseline. Like asshole, I feel like is baseline in the 40k universe. And like, if you call someone in the 40k universe an asshole, like they're like fucking like a supreme asshole, dude. That's like, that's up there.
But they're a little bit up there because of their flesh, civilians made of flesh, because you see, the flesh is weak. Flesh is corruptible. Bionics, the strength of the machine is pure and cannot so easily.
So when you like you see that like meme of the snake in the tube with the, it's like crawling around or whatever, and the prosthetic legs.
On the moment I understood the weakness of my flesh, it disgusted me.
And you hear like the chant going on. I get that's this guy talking.
Easily be corrupted. So if you want people who have this little techno fetishistic vibe to them, that love their vehicles and their walking coffins, hit up the Iron Hands.
Understand, Commander? I was never here.
Legion 11.
Oh, the stealth guys, huh?
Why, hello there. I have returned from touching grass. I know. I'm pretty cool with the grass touching. And now let's continue our Warhammer lecture.
This ruffles my...
Okay, so I guess we're skipping over that one. So, Legion 12, the World Eaters.
Okay, so what's going on here? I am a super sandwich!
The World Eaters. Allegiance, Heretic. Primarch, Angron. A butcher.
I feel like these are like, when you think of Chaos Marines, I think this is like the faction that probably is like what you look at or what the aesthetic is of Chaos Marine.
A slaughterer,
like extremely, earth-shatteringly, unreasonably fuck-ass mad.
Single word descriptor, anger. Hey you! Yeah, you! Are you mad? Do you just fucking hate everything? Do you want to murder everything in sight and get rewarded for doing so? Then you should join the World Eaters. Home planet of Nuceria and Primarch Angron, who, if the name didn't suggest, is real fucking angry. Angron was raised a...
His name is Angron, so... literally in his name.
Slave, forced to fight in gladiator pits. When he refused, they shoved old world tech into his brain so that if he ever felt any emotion other than anger, it caused him extreme pain. All his sons, wanting to be like their dad, also got a version of these nails in their brain. So now you have an entire legion who literally feel...
Talk about max level asshole then.
Unimaginable pain if they are feeling any emotion other than anger. Slap them with a freight train of armor, 2 goddamn...
This is like the faction, like the D&D barbarian faction. Like this is like just pure rage. Like that's just it.
Chainsaw axes, and you can see what's gonna happen. It's no wonder they're corrupted by corn. They're honestly a surprisingly sad legion that I actually screwed up in assuming that they were all just angry murderers. I mean, they are, but they didn't start out that way. Their corn corruption degraded their intelligence, their free will, and made powerful warriors into arguably even more powerful warriors, but blunt, like frothing at the mouth psycho warriors. The World Eaters, like I mentioned in the Space Wolves, they wear their concept on their sleeve. They are angry, they want to kill things, they want to kill you and maybe some of their friends, and that's the faction. They're red, they're mad, they're gonna...
Yeah, like I said, when I think of Chaos Marines, like this aesthetic, this faction is like what you see like most of the imagery of, I think.
Run at you and cause death. If you like that, you play the World Eaters. Or you like it because they were, you know, at one point a lot better than that. Most of Warhammer was a lot better than that. I was once a lot better than that. That was when I was in college.
Yeah, it's life, you know.
I didn't finish college, and neither did Angron.
Ultramarines, yeah, I've heard of this faction too.
I'll cut your balls off.
I think this is like the standard, like, Space Marine faction that I think most people know about is the Ultramarines, I think. Maybe I'm wrong.
The Ultramarines. Allegiance, Loyalist. Primarch, Rabute Gilliman. That's how it's said. An analyst, a diplomat, a Blueberry Boy Scout. Single word descriptor, duty. When you see Space Marines on a box,
it's that duty again.
Marines and promotional material, notice how they are always colored blue. These are the blue Space Marines. These ones here, the Ultramarines, who hail from the world of Macrogge with their Primarch, Rabute Gorilla Man. Ultramarines are the white bread of Space Marines, the grilled chicken with salt and pepper. And this is by
the
no
base.
means an insult. They are plain Jane, but that's also because they are so goddamn
They're
good
the
at their
standard.
job. Their skill
They're
for
the standard.
warfare is paramount, but so is their ability for leadership. Gilliman for a while was a damn boring Primarch for all the reasons he was great, because no matter how hard you try, you don't win a war without logistics, without supply lines, without trade routes, without infrastructure and economy. You don't win anything without all that stuff, and
all the boring shit that no one thinks about or wants to deal with, but someone has to.
Gilliman knows it, which is why he has one of the largest standing empires in the Imperium, named Ultramar, which is why his sons are the most recognizable of all the Space Marines, which is why the only thing that rivals the weight of their victories is the weight of their egos. They are good at everything and bad at nothing. They are great at everything. Other legions can do other things better than them, but they are good at everything. The most interesting thing about the Ultramarines is their characters, as they are all now inflicted with various amounts of ultra depression for many reasons. Gilliman is, at the time of recording, the only playable Primarch currently on the tabletop, and the only one that has returned to the 41st millennium for the Loyalist side. He took one look at what his empire has become and immediately wanted to fucking die. Being forced to lead everything he once hated, an Imperium rotten to its core with his sole responsibility to save it, is kind of what makes him interesting. They are a perfectly standard legion with perfectly standard ideals, and great if you want a...
So I wonder, like, again, I don't know a super amount of the Warhammer lore, but from what I understand, you know, obviously there's the religion that's been made around the God Emperor, you know, and all these people are sacrificed daily. You know, there's like 1,000 or 2,000 people are sacrificed daily to try to sustain the Emperor. And from what I understand, actually, if they just let the Emperor die, he would resurrect himself, because he's an immortal being that way. But I wonder, you know, from what I understand, the Emperor was never about religion, never wanted to establish himself as a religion, was all about actual progression with technology and things like that. And so I wonder if this Primarch he's talking about is so depressed about having to lead and reform things because he knew that. You know, he knew that the Emperor was, you know, all about, you know, progress and scientific advancement and expanding the, you know, humanity out throughout the universe, and never wanted to be a god, never wanted to be worshipped, never wanted this religious zealot, you know, zealotry that, you know, became so prevalent, you know, for him. And so I guess that, you know, the task of having to revert that, whatever you want to say, you know, is that what is, you know, so daunting to him? You know, if that's the case, you know, is that what he's trying to work toward, you know?
Simple, clean slate.
Uh-oh, stinky.
Death Guard.
Funny
Okay,
poop.
so this is what's his name? Nurgle? I would assume this is the faction associated with Nurgle.
Funny. Woo!
The Death Guard. Allegiance, Heretic. Primarch, Mortarion. A Reaper.
Mortarion.
Poison,
Interesting. That's an interesting name.
ungodly stench. Single word descriptor, rot. The Death Guard hail from Barbaros, with the Primarch Mortarion. The 14th Legion were known for
Mortarium. That is a name.
For their incredible resilience to damage.
That's a lot of damage.
Where the Imperial Fists were defensive thanks to tactics and posturing, the Death Guard were resilient because they could take a punch or a gut shot or a cannon to the chest and just keep on moving. They are slow, yet they are resistant, which was only confounded as a Death Guard captain, Typhus, codename Dickhead, sold them out to Nurgle, god of rot and decay. Now, the Death Guard are a Nurgle-worshipping infected legion whose ability to feel pain and take damage has all but just gone away. They wade through gunfire, able to kill normal Marines 10 times over and continue unharmed, all while spreading rot and disease in the name of their...
Dude, that would be a pain in the ass to fight them then. If they can just sit there, they do. I would almost kind of like think of, I get the imagery of like Starship Troopers where you have, you know, hundreds of troopers just lining up with their machine guns mowing down these bugs and they just keep coming. You know, that's kind of the imagery I get in my head when he's talking about this.
Dark, very stinky master. Where the Death Guard enter, plague spreads. People get sick and they die. They spread debilitating disease to all around them. Why would a legion need to be anything more than very tanky when their enemies are falling over, puking, firing out of both ends, and having their skin peel off just by their presence? Entire worlds infested with a zombie rot, swarms of insects that eat flesh and metal.
And doesn't their rot like spread and create, like corrupt those things and turn it into the rot itself too? It's like a plague. So like when it starts, it just like spreads and it just converts other things into the same plague and rot. So it just keeps spreading more and more and more. Like it just grows exponentially. That's what I think anyway. I could be wrong about that.
Alike, all while the Legion advances slowly, painfully, allowing the disease they spread to take its toll before they reap the lives they believe belong to them. And look at Mortarian's model, dude. The man.
That would be an interesting faction to play, you know. Yeah, just this plague-bearing Space Marine faction that just, you know, almost like an unstoppable force kind of a situation, you know. Yeah, that just would be an interesting faction to play.
Moth with a gigantic.
I think so far out of the legion that he's talked about, I think the Wolf Legion, the Viking Legion, that would probably be the one I'd be the most interested in learning about, and would probably be the one that I would want to start as my faction if I were to play the tabletop stuff. But I think this Nurgle Chaos Legion might be number 2. That sounds like an interesting legion that could be pretty fun to play.
Scythe, come on now. The Death Guard.
For my next trick!
1,000 Suns. I'm surprised there isn't more of like a, maybe there is, and he just hasn't gotten to it, but I'm surprised there isn't kind of more of like a Roman or Greek, you know, themed legion.
Fucking kill myself.
The 1,000 Suns. Allegiance, Heretic. Primarch, Magnus the Red. A scholar, a sorcerer, a fucking nerd. Single word descriptor, magic. The 1,000 Suns.
Is this the Tzeentch, I guess? Would this be the Legion or whatever with Tzeentch? I think it's Tzeentch, right? Because it's Slaanesh, Nurgle, Khorne, and Tzeentch. I think those are the 4 primary chaos gods, I think.
Hail from their homeworld of Prospero, with their Primarch Magnus the Red. The final of our 4 major chaos god factions, the 1,000 Suns are disciples of Tzeentch, the Changer of Ways. Heavily inspired by their Egyptian theming, the Legion themselves.
Oh, so this is an Egyptian themed faction. Okay, that's interesting. I've always, like, me personally, I've always been like super interested in Greek, Egyptian, and Norse mythology. So anything that kind of like plays into that, which is again one of the reasons why I think I would like the Wolf Legion, because it's, you know, Viking related. But anything that plays into that is always interested me, it always fascinates me. So
are
this would be a legion that I'd be interested in too.
And change. Most of them no longer even having a physical form, reduced to just dust, piloting suits of armor at the whim of a sorcerer leader. The 1,000 Suns do not deserve their fate. There's a common joke that Magnus did nothing wrong. This is untrue. He has done much wrong. However, he is very sympathetic, mainly because the Space Wolves and Leman Russ sought to end their rivalry through the annihilation of their legion, escaping only through the assistance of the Changer of Ways, and forever changed because of it. Meanwhile, magic is their main tool. Take some Lovecraftian style abilities, the eyes everywhere, and potent spells to be cast at their foes.
The Bloodborne faction.
Bolts of psychic lightning, reversing time itself, opening up portals to unreality, or changing the very fabric of the universe. The Thousand Sons.
I mean, this sounds like it'd be a pretty sick faction to play too. I'm into stuff like that. You know, changing of reality, time bending stuff, being able to manipulate the board by moving units around with magic spells and doing AoE. That sounds pretty sick.
Sun sorcery knows no bounds, and they are very good at it. If you're a fan of like wizards, your classic style of spellcaster, and you want a ton of them, combined with a tragic backstory and a Primarch who, like Mortarion, looks fucking baller, the Thousand Sons
does look baller. He's not wrong.
Fucking asshole!
Sons of Horus,
You're a
yeah.
fucking cheater.
Okay.
You're such a sore loser. You're a cheater. My dad works at Nintendo.
The Sons of Horus, or the Luna Wolves, or the Black Legion. Allegiance,
the Luna Wolves.
Heretic. Primarch,
interesting.
Horus, a warlord, a treasured friend, or the traitor himself. Single word descriptor, assault. The Sons of Horus are the formal name of Horus's legion, hailing from the world of Chthoniya. The Sons of Horus themselves were assault troops. The strength of their attack was some of the most powerful in the legions. While the White Scars may favor speed for their strikes, the Sons of Horus were known for their overall offensive power. It was even said that if the Sons of Horus met the Imperial Fists, they would be at a stalemate for eternity. However, the Sons of Horus are no longer, because, well,
he did.
They are now instead the Black Legion, led by Abaddon the Despoiler, who claims to succeed where his father failed. The Black Legion are still an offensive and assault-based force, but they act much like the Ultramarines, but for chaos. Your standard black.
Yeah, that's what I thought. This is the I guess standard Chaos Marine faction. They're the antithesis of the Ultramarine.
Brass Space Marine, who are known for recruiting in all different kinds of avenues. Anyone can become a member of the Black Legion. Anyone can swear allegiance to the War Master. You gain favor by not just one, but all four gods.
Oh, interesting.
Their famous line, "Let the galaxy."
That's interesting. I didn't realize that they could get the favor of all the Chaos Gods. So I assume that Legion probably has a mixture of units with different abilities from each Chaos God. Interesting.
Galaxy burn is the best way to describe them. It doesn't matter what the outcome is. So long as the Imperium dies, the Black Legion has done its job. They are a legion formed from hatred and spite, with a clear goal in mind, as the Dark Gods are calling, and the Black Legion are sure to answer.
Hello. Do you have a moment to talk about our Lord
World Bearers?
Jesus Christ?
I don't think I've heard of them.
It wasn't fucking optional!
The Word Bearers.
Word Bearers, not World.
Heretic. Primarch, Lorgar Aurelian.
There's definitely a lot more Chaos factions, Chaos Space Marine factions than I realized. I thought there was only really like I said earlier, like kind of one Chaos Marine faction that started with Horus, and maybe they had like some sub factions that kind of split off from the different Chaos Gods interfering and things like that. But I didn't realize there were like the Primarchs themselves kind of fell and their legions followed. It's interesting. And not just from like Horus turning, from other different reasons, like he said with the Tzeentch faction, the Wolf Legion was fighting against them, was going to exterminate them, so they had to escape, and they ended up, you know, seeking Tzeentch's help, and that turned them, etc., etc. So it's interesting.
A preacher, a fanatic, a choir boy. Single word descriptor: zeal. If the Black Legion answer the call of the Dark Gods, what if instead you decide to call the gods first? Well, then the Word Bearers are for you. The 17th Legion, led by Primarch Lorgar on the planet of Colchis.
Not one that blew up for a change.
Originally obsessed
Oh, well,
with
never mind.
worshiping the Emperor
JK
of
lol.
mankind as a god, they found that despite his divinity, he was not worthy of worship because, you know, he raised their equivalent of Jerusalem to the ground for daring to worship him. Like, could you imagine if God actually showed up and was just like, Jerusalem is stupid, it just destroyed the whole thing? Like, what would that do to your head? But there are
that would be something. That would be some kind of ironic thing were that to actually happen IRL. If God was just like, fuck that place, y'all are dumb.
gods that want worship and will reward those who do. The word bearers are chaos worshippers to a T. All chaos gods. They specialize in demonic rituals, the summoning of demons, and the mutual possession of their own troops. They welcome demons to their bodies to fight as one. They exalt the dark.
Oh, so they want to summon demons to possess them and have a symbiotic relationship with them to enhance themselves. Okay. That's kind of interesting too. That would be an interesting
gods themselves.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what all the units they have and what they look like and their abilities would be from that, because that's kind of cool too.
For aid, and guess what? They answer. In the world of 40K, Satan doesn't just call you back. He hops in his GT Mustang and he crashes on your couch. In the world of 40K, your rituals will end with genuine results. The word bearers know this. They know through sacrifices, through devotion, through dark baptism, the gods will answer and they will be rewarded. So they use it. They bring forth demons. They bring forth possessions. They bring forth the power of the neverborn, the damned, and those that hide in the dark to bear against the Imperium. Lorgar sits there, smiling, as the truth he always knew, the existence of gods and the importance of faith is a reality. It is a tool.
That's kind of a cool like twist on lore, in that the idea that religion and faith is real, but only to the chaos gods in this universe. And so he's corrupted and turned against the Emperor, but in his mind it's the right thing to do because, you know, the chaos gods are real. They are real gods. And so he found his faith and worship in them. And, you know, the Emperor telling him otherwise is like heresy to him. That's kind of an interesting kind of like round twist of, it's just an interesting twist. It's just, that's I like that.
He is using to rend the galaxy.
Dear Sir Stroke Madam.
Salamanders. We talked about them earlier.
Fire!
I assume this is like, kind of a fire-based.
The Salamanders. Allegiance, loyalist. Primarch, Vulcan. A Forge Master. A behemoth.
I assume that's an homage to the Roman god of the Forge, Vulcan, who was also Hephaestus in Greek mythology.
A very huggy boy. Single word descriptor: fire. The Salamanders hail from Nocturne, a volcanic planet home to their Primarch Vulcan. They are the largest of the Space Marines, not due to numbers, but rather size. Vulcan, he is an enormous slab of beef, by far the largest of all the Primarchs. However, don't let his size fool you, as he is also the kindest. Salamanders have the juxtaposition of looking frightening, being larger than other Marines, while also boasting an ashy, like coal color skin and blazing red eyes, while simultaneously carrying around all manner of flame weaponry. So your average civilian might be spooked, but in reality, they are by far the kindest of all the legions to those civilians. Vulcan believes that to safeguard the Imperium is to, at the end of the day, safeguard its people. So
I mean, yeah, because like that, to me, that would make sense too, because it's like, without the people, what are you protecting? What are you fighting for? If you're not, fighting to protect and better humanity, then what's the point?
unlike other legions who put their lives far and above the average human, the Salamanders spend significantly more time trying to save them, often taking numerous losses by doing so. They are very independent as well. They're forgers and blacksmiths, maintaining their own weapons and crafting versions of it. They also have the very rare privilege of being able to see their families even after becoming a Space Marine. They care, which is the funny part, because the 7
You know, and that's something I never thought about too, is Space Marines and whatnot having families. You know, I actually had never even thought about that. Are Space Marines even allowed to have families? Are they allowed to, you know, have wives and children of their own? You know, is that against like some of their religious tenets and some of the Legion tenets or something like that? You know, that's actually something I never thought about.
1.5 foot tall giant with flaming red eyes who just reduced a traitor to bubbling metal says, "You have nothing to fear, young citizen. Take my hand." If you enjoy fire, melting things, and being the nicer of the Marines, Salamanders are for you.
I've heard of the Raven Guard too.
Saga, sneak attacks don't work if you yell it out loud.
The Raven Guard. Allegiance, Loyalist. Primarch, Corvus Corax. A raven, a shadow. An industrial dance DJ. Single word descriptor, stealth. The Raven Guard are the final Loyalist Legion at 19 and hail from the planet Deliverance with Primarch Corvus Corax. If it hasn't been made clear enough already, the Raven Guard are stealth specialists and proficient
like the assassin legion.
Despite this, their signature winged jump pack and double lightning claw look is, well, not very stealthy.
Yeah, I would say so.
They're named after, of course, the Raven and embody the entire concept of it as a herald of death. They are stealthy, patient hunters that have no problem with waiting and waiting and waiting until the moment to strike is at hand. It's not easy being a stealth.
So I wonder if they're kind of more of like a ranged sniper kind of faction, with them talking about them being like a hunter kind of, with a hunter mentality, you know?
Faction when your stealth involves people in 1 ton of power armor, but they find
right, yeah, that too. Like, it'd be pretty hard to be stealthy in a giant suit like that, but
the way that more than anything.
Then again, with technology, they might have some kind of crazy cloaking technology, you know what I mean?
Should not be used to show how ridiculous 40K is, even though it is,
yeah,
but rather to show how
ridiculous they are. Yeah, if you can be a stealthy assassin, you know, person in a full suit of armor like that, you gotta be good at what you're doing.
It's not about them sneaking around you without being seen, but it's also about them having lied in wait for so long that it wasn't until they were in striking distance that you even realized they had been there.
Set up in preparation.
Edgelord Marines with a long black haircut, pale skin, ravens everywhere. If you want to field assassins and snipers abound, then the Raven Guard are for you. It could be in
that'd be another legion that I'd be interested in if I were to play someone on the tabletop. The idea of setting up, using more of a hit and run maybe kind of faction, setting up ambushes, using snipers at range, and stealth and assassination. That'd be fun.
This very room, it could be you.
The Alpha Legion. I don't think I've ever heard of them. I'm assuming this is a Chaos Legion, being you said the Raven was the last of the Loyalist ones.
It was obvious.
The Alpha Legion. Allegiance, Heretic.
That's a dope ass insignia right there. The 3 white dragons or whatever.
Primarch, Alfarius, and Omegon. Saboteurs, destabilizers.
2 Primarchs, huh?
Walls.
Are they twins?
Single word descriptor, espionage. Finally, 20th Legion, the Alpha Legion.
They're the spies.
By Alfarius and
that's a 6 suit of armor looking right there with the like the scale mail or whatever, like dragon scale armor, dude. That looks sick.
And Omegon, the only Legion to have 2 Primarchs who were split as twins. The Alpha Legion are heretical, we think, and specialize in destabilization of society and armies. Their entire shtick is the Hydra, because when you cut off one head, 2 more take its place. All of the Alpha Legion look exactly like their Primarch. Olive skin, shaved head. All claim to be Alfarius. All are liars.
Oh, that's kind of cool. That's a cool lore kind of situation. So you don't know you actually fought or have been up against the Primarch. I mean, I guess if you're actually fighting, you would probably be able to tell the difference between who's a Primarch and who's just a regular Space Marine in the Legion, because the Primarch would have more powers and stronger, etc., etc. But you wouldn't necessarily know, I guess, until it was, you know, you were in the thick of it.
They make the large.
And so, of course, also you would never know if you actually really killed him or not. Almost kind of like a Dread Pirate Roberts, I guess. I don't know if that's really like a good comparison, but the idea of the name, you know, has its own mythology behind it, so you never know if you're really like actually killed them or not. Or maybe they're immortal, you know?
Largest use of sleeper cells and cultists in the Chaos Space Marine factions, because it's extremely easy to take over a planet when you
poisoned our water supply, burned our crops, and delivered a plague unto our houses.
Where the Raven Guard use stealth and sabotage to eliminate their enemies, the Alpha Legion prefer to weaken them over time with sleeper agents, impersonations, basically anything you can imagine from a hardcore spy movie or Cold War level espionage.
They sound like a pretty cool faction too. And I like just the aesthetic look of them. Like that armor looks dope, and the three-headed dragon insignia. I like that.
Honor. Being Alfarius is a requirement. There's a story of someone chasing down an Alpha Legion agent for years upon years, and when they finally catch up with them and they see that the agent is wearing the same face as their pursuer, because this was the plan all along, to kill him and take his spot. We're talking facial reconstruction surgery. We're talking hacking. We're talking political assassination and impersonation, everything. They are Space Marines in name only, because being a strong stoic warrior is not what the Alpha Legion is interested in. In fact, the Alpha Legion is interested in you not even knowing that the Alpha Legion is a thing. I am Alfarius. You are Alfarius. We are all Alfarius in his Lord's glorious army.
I'm
Thank you
Spartacus.
everyone so much for watching this video. I hope you learned a little something. I hope
I definitely learned quite a bit
about what Space Marines you wanted to field. You now have a better idea of what
I definitely do.
You want to play. Buy my Gamer Sub Shaker. It's on sale. It's on pre-order. It's ready to go. Just get it. Just get it. Use code Bricky. It's in the description. Just get it. And a huge thank you to all of my patrons over on patreon.com/Bricky and the members on the YouTube channel. Your names are here. I thank you a ton. You are all very generous. And I need to answer a question. Have you ever attempted to touch grass but end up touching the Destiny 2 loading screen? Oh, damn it. I just...
Got him. Well, there you have it. There you have it. That is every single Warhammer Space Marine Legion in a nutshell by Bricky. Go and check him out. I'll have the description or the link to this video down in the description below. And it sounds like he's got a lot of content for Warhammer. I definitely learned a lot. There's a lot more legions and a lot more variation and like I said, I thought the Chaos Space Marines were like one faction that had just some kind of sub-factions, and they all stemmed from Horus's betrayal. I didn't really know that a lot of the Primarchs had been like corrupted in turn, and the legions kind of came with them, or through whatever various necessities had been turned by the Chaos Gods. So that was all pretty interesting to me. I definitely, like I said, the the Space Wolf Legion is probably the legion that I'd be the most interested in playing as. But I think the second legion, well, I think that there would be a tie for the second legion. The Nurgle Legion sounds like it would be pretty interesting to play as on the tabletop, and then also the Tzeentch Legion I think would be pretty fun and interesting to play as. And then after them, the Raven Legion I think would be one that would be interesting that I have fun playing, and maybe even the last one, the Alpha one, could be pretty fun to play. But yeah, very good explanation, very good video. Definitely learned a lot more. There's a lot more factions than I realized, and they all have different specializations. You know, some are good at siege combat, some are the opposite of that. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to diving into some more of his videos and learning some more. He'd mentioned that he did an entire like Warhammer faction video, so I'll probably look into that as well. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Go and check him out. Like I said, you know, give him a follow, let him know that I sent you over there if you guys haven't, you know, checked out his channel before. But let me know what you guys think about, you know, all these various Space Marine factions. I'm sure most of you out there already know a lot more about this than I do. But what would be, if you guys are doing tabletop currently, Let me know what faction you guys play as, or what faction you would be interested to play if you're, you know, not doing the tabletop stuff. But thank you guys for watching the video. If you are still watching it here all the way through to the end, I greatly appreciate it. It means a lot. Consider leaving a like and sub if you like this video. Again, go check out Bricky. Looks like he makes a lot of good Warhammer content, and I'll definitely be checking out some more of it. And yeah, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day whenever you're watching this. Thank you guys very much. I'll see you on the next one.